Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon. Ito po ay bahagi ng ika-6 na pagdiriwang ng Universidad ng Pilipinas Baguio sa kanyang pagkakatatag at isa rin pong bahagi ng kick-off activity ng College of Arts and Communications sa papalapit nitong ika-20 anibersaryo. Ako po si Christian Fajardo at ako po ang inyong magiging moderator para sa hapon na ito. At ngayon po ay narito po at tunghayan natin yung opening remarks mula sa ating dekano ng Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon, si Dekano Jimmy Bifo.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Salamat sa pagdalo sa talastasang ito sa pangalawang taon ng pandemya sa ating bayan at sa buong mundo. Sa talastasang ito, gusto nating hindi lang umusbong, kundi yumabong. Itinataguyod natin ang talastasang ito bilang kasama ng ating pagdiriwang ng ika-60 anibersaryo ng UP Baguio at ng pang-20 taon naman ng Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon. Napapanahon ang ating tema, pagtanaw sa saysay ng ating kasaysayan. Sana sa pamamagitan ng talastasang ito, mapalakas pa natin ang ating mga landas at maghawan sa mga bagong landas bunsod ng nagbabagong panahon. Binabati ko ang mga masisipag na guro ng kolehiyo sa pagtataguyod ng talastasang ito. Gayon din, nagpapasalamat ako sa ating mga tagapagsalita sa linggong ito sa ating talastasan. Ang dating Chancellor ng UP Baguio na si Professor Raymundo Rovillos, ang dating Komisyoner ng Komisyon sa Wikang Filipino at dating dekana rin ng Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon si Dr. Purificacion G. de Lima. Salamat din kay Professor Francisco Rosario Jr. o Isko na isang dating guro sa kolehiyo. Papasalamat din tayo kay Professor Ruth Tindaan, guro ng kolehiyo at direktor ng Cordillera Study Center. Salamat din kay Professor Liza Ilagan ng Fine Arts. Salamat din kay Madam Regine Cabato ng Washington Post at kay Attorney Maria Angela Teresa Sebastian ng UP College of Law. Mag-enjoy po tayong lahat.
Maraming salamat, ang dekano ng Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon, Dekano Jimmy Bifong, para sa kaniyang pambungad na pananalita. Narito pa rin po tayo ngayon sa CAC Talastasan 2021 para sa ating pangkalahatang tema na Retracing Our Roots, Shaping Our Paths. No? At ngayong bilang bahagi ng pambungad ng Talastasan 2021, ngayong araw na to ay may paksa tayo na pinamagatang From UP College Baguio to UP Baguio. At isang karangalan ang ipakilala ko sa inyo ang ating tagapagsalita sa hapon na ito. Professor Raymundo D. Rovillos earned his Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences, major in History and Political Science in 1985 at UP College in Baguio. He also earned his MA Social and Development Studies degree at UP College in Baguio in 1996. Later, he earned his PhD in History at UP Diliman in 2005. Then, he was the former Chancellor of the University of the Philippines Baguio from 2012 to 2021. Professor Rovillos is currently a professor of history at the Department of History and Philosophy of the College of Social Sciences, UP Baguio. During his term as a Chancellor of the UP Baguio, he led the university to greater heights in strengthening linkages with the local government, making the university visible and engaged with the community. UP Baguio has been involved in several research on environment, health, culture, and the indigenous people, among many others. In 2017, he authored the conceptualization of papers, placing Baguio City as the first city in the Philippines on the map of creative cities, recognized by the UNESCO or the United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organizations promoting arts and crafts worldwide. He recently published, one of his publications is his research on syntheses, Indigenous Peoples Education Proceedings of the Indigenous Peoples Education Conference in 2019, noting his advocacy for the Indigenous peoples. This is in partnership with UP Baguio and CHED. Now he busies himself with the additional interdisciplinary academic PhD program, UP Baguio's Baby, which is a PhD in Indigenous Studies to be offered in UP Baguio starting academic year 2021 to 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we all welcome Professor Raymundo D. Rovillos.
Hello. Hello everyone. Magandang hapon sa ating lahat. Salamat sa pagpapakilala. Yan. Meron akong i-share na slide, maikling PowerPoint presentation lang ito para gabayan ako sa aking pagsasalaysay. Okay. I'd like to start by congratulating my colleagues at the College of Arts and Communications, under the leadership of Dean Jimmy Fong, and particularly the Talastasan lecture series, which I've always admired, as a college-based initiative for providing a forum, for discussion of intellectual, social, and other matters of importance to the nation and the region, as well as the university. We know that we are doing this in relation to the 60th anniversary of UP Baguio. And I again congratulate you for taking the lead in discussing our history, our institutional history. I think we all would agree that we need to know our past, to be able to know our future, as an institution, so that we can also bring together various stakeholders of the university, especially the young faculty who have just been hired or who have just entered the university, our freshmen and sophomore students new to the university, to be socialized to the institutional history of UP Baguio, so that we become more committed to the institution, become more familiar with its vision and mission as a university, and how that vision and mission has been shaped by its history as an institution. In fact, we should do more of this, this kind of storytelling among constituents and among colleagues. Sometimes this happens even outside of the institutional or formal institutional processes of the university, like Facebook groups, like yung group where we all belong, where we all pretend to be in Baguio, or like yung Facebook group na taga-UP Kakong, doon natin nababasa yung mga micro-narratives, yung mga kwento ng bawat isa sa atin, mga alumni, naging buhay nila sa UP Baguio. Doon talaga mayaman, doon sa detalye at sa mga nuances, yung naramdaman, naisip ng mga individual at grupo ng UP Baguio alumni at students sa mga Facebook groups na yan. Kaya maganda rin na nagkakaroon tayo ng talakayan sa mas formal na forum katulad ng ginagawa ngayon ng Talastasan sa CAC. So again, congratulations to our young colleagues, no, at the CAC. I prepared a very short PowerPoint presentation, if only to jumpstart our discussion and to guide me in the narrative. No, sandali. PowerPoint mode muna tayo. Ito na. Pahapyawan ko lang, no? The historical timeline is plotted this way. Okay, so 1921 to 1933, the extension of College of Liberal Arts at Vigan, Ilocos Sur, followed by 1961 to 1980, when UP became General Education Knowledge Station of UP Diliman. We were still under UP Diliman, and where we became known as a venue for national arts festivals. Okay, this is followed by 1981 to 2000, when UP Baguio, UPCB, became the leading knowledge center on the Cordilleras, and the 2001 to present period, when we became the 7th constituent university of the UP system. So that's the general periodization that I am presenting. Okay, others may have or might have different nodal points or mga ikutang pangyayari o mga pangyayaring mahalaga sa kasaysayan ng UP Baguio para sa akin, pero sa akin po ito yung aking nakikitang periodization, no? So balikan natin. So actually ang history ng UP Baguio ay nagsimula mas maaga kaysa sa pinagdiriwang nating 60th anniversary na 1961. Pero naiintindihan ko rin bakit 1961 ang napiling kumbaga formal na simula ng UP Baguio, kasi doon talaga nagsimula tayo bilang isang degree granting na institution. Pero bago yan, before this period, before the war, there was already a UP presence in Northern Luzon. And this was not in Baguio, but it was in Vigan, Ilocos Sur. In fact, when we celebrated our 50th year, our Golden Jubilee celebration during the administration of Dr. Priscilla Santos, Macansantos, Supnet Macansantos, the executive staff then, no, and I was part of that, being Dean of the College of Social Sciences, went to Vigan to install a marker, no, UP, a historical marker in front of that very building. I'm sorry that I'm not able to show pictures now, but the building where the UP extension program was being held, classes were being held, no, but the location, but of course the old structure had been demolished and there's a new structure there. So it was an extension of the College of Liberal Arts, no, from 1921 to 1938. So it was before the war, but of course because of the war, the Second World War, it stopped, no, classes there stopped, and it would only resume after the war, long after the war, and in fact it was an opportunity to look for a different venue or the different location for a UP in Northern Luzon. Okay, so that period immediately after the war, until the founding of UP College Baguio, there were several initiatives by UP alumni, no, who were Baguio residents, no, who were really actively pushing and lobbying, no, for the establishment of UP at Baguio, no, or UP Northern Luzon at Baguio. These were the likes of Salvosa, Benjamin Salvosa, the founder of Baguio Colleges Foundation, or now called University of the Cordilleras. No, he was a UP alumnus. No, Mr. Fernando Bautista, the founder of now University of Baguio, who was also a UP alumnus, College of Education, and Mrs. Margarita Fernandez, no, who eventually founded her own school, the Baguio Central University. So these were the UP alumni who were pushing for UP in Northern Luzon, particularly in UP Baguio. And it was a long process of convincing the Board of Regents of UP Diliman to establish a UP Baguio, UP at Baguio. Siguro, in fact, because of the frustration, eventually they set up their own universities, no? Like Salvosa put up Baguio Colleges, as I said, si Fernando Bautista, University of Baguio, Baguio Tech pa noon, naging University of Baguio, and Margarita Fernandez eventually established her own school, later to become Baguio Central University. But it would take another person, an alumnus, to really assiduously work towards the establishment of UP College Baguio. And this was Dr. Abellera, okay? Together with, okay, along with other alumni, UP alumni based in Baguio. They convinced former President Vicente Cinco to look for a possible location of UP Baguio, and through the help of Dr. Abellera, they found what they said a perfect place for a UP College Baguio campus, which was a pine-clad hill, no, within the government center. At ito na nga yung tinatawag nating UP Baguio campus. Okay. So noong after the war, nagsimula na, they started offering courses still as an extension program, no, of UP Diliman in the old cottages of the government center. Those buildings that were not heavily bombed, no, during the Second World War. So eventually in 1961, President Cinco approved 100,000 pesos. No? Nagsimula sila sa 100,000 pesos to start building the structures, no, at the campus, the present campus of UP Baguio. So they started these mga one-story buildings. Eventually, they put the Bulwagang One Luna, yung mga old structures na demolished eventually. These were the buildings that were put up because of the initial funding by President Cinco. So, 1961, we became a degree-granting unit, no? UP Baguio. So, from 1961 to 1980, what kind of curriculum did we have? We offered mainly general education courses, no, GE. Why? Because Baguio was, because of its climate, no, a lot of professors from UP Diliman would want, no, to spend summer or some semesters in Baguio to teach, no, general education courses. So we became a general education knowledge station for the entire UP system, no. Our students would eventually would usually start first and second years here, and eventually transfer in UP Diliman, UP Los Baños, and UP Manila. Okay. This period was also the start of national, the organizing of venue of national arts festivals. So nakilala agad tayo bilang sentro ng sining, no, at kultura, no. When Dean Junisha Rolda was dean, she organized national arts festivals that brought to Baguio big names, no, in culture and arts, no, like sila Cecil Guidote, no, the likes. They would come to Baguio to hold festivals, no. And it was a big event, no, then, and it was known nationally. So UP Baguio was beginning to be known as really a hub for culture and arts, no, as early as these decades. Okay. Ever since we became a degree granting program, UP Baguio had always been doing interdisciplinary programs, no? Maybe because of its limited faculty, it was a matter of expedience, no? We only have few faculty, full-time faculty members, and so it was most convenient to offer programs that would cut across humanities, especially in the social sciences. So at that time, you will have, you know, of some alumni who graduated during this period who had triple degree programs, no. Meron silang degrees in courses in humanities or literature, but they also had especially courses in double courses in history and anthropology and other disciplines. So it was really interdisciplinary from the beginning, no? And it became the strength, in fact, no, of UP Baguio, no, as a campus, being an interdisciplinary campus, which now has become popular again, in vogue academically, not only in the country but all over the world. So now we're talking about interdisciplinary programs again as the way to go as far as curriculum programs are concerned. And how about the relationships, no, among people? Being a small campus, syempre, very small, no, yung population. Our alumni would tell us that there were only 200 during that time. During my time in 1980, 1981, it would increase to 700. But earlier, mga 200, 300, 500, marami na. So you can imagine how small it was. And so everybody knew everybody. And therefore, the relationship among students and faculty was quite harmonious and close. There was not much social distance or political distance between faculty and students, no. It was quite normal to see faculty and students going out, having fun in pubs along Session Road or Harrison Road and other places in Baguio. Nagiinuman sila, magkakaibigan sila, pero pagdating sa klase, nandun pa rin yung relasyon ng faculty at students, no? Hindi masyadong issue yung tinatawag natin ngayong too much fraternizing, no, with students, which some faculty, especially the senior ones, would frown upon, no, because they would say that it might affect, no, the grading system or whatever, the relationship between faculty and students. So if you notice, I'm describing the period in terms of academic programs, in terms of its major thrusts, and in terms of the milestones, the most important events or milestones in the entire history of the campus. And I end with relationships, because it's important that we also talk about how people related with one another, and how no, as human beings, no, and as a social institution, not just what it was able to accomplish. Although these are also important, right? Okay, siguro yung sa mga participants na nabuhay sa panahon na to, they will share more nuanced stories and more micro histories during the open forum. So let me just proceed to 1981 to 2000. Ito panahon ko na talaga to because my student number is 1981 blank 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 blank. So I became freshman of UP Baguio in 1981. And so what did I witness during this time? It was a time medyo magulo noon kasi there were several issues. The number one was there was a movement at that time to how do you call this? To abolish, no? To abolish UP Baguio. No, did you know that? There was a time in the even earlier than the 1980s. There had always been this idea at the UP system level that UP Baguio was not relevant, was not doing something relevant in the region and for the entire system. Dagdag lang na gastos, and therefore there were moves at the system level to abolish, no, UP Baguio. There was this thing called CRAP, no, it's called, ano nga ba yung CRAP na yan? It was a study to do, the usual organizational development thing of the UP system, looking at how efficient it was, and their findings was UP Baguio was not quite efficient because it was not doing much contribution to the entire UP system. So therefore, abolish it. And of course, the community resisted it, the alumni, faculty, and of course the students. So freshman pa lang ako noon, I was already participating in rallies to stop the crap, no? The idea or the proposal of UP system to abolish UP Baguio. Okay. So during this time, there was really a strong pressure among faculty, I guess, to do something to prove the UP system officials, some UP system officials wrong, that we were relevant and that we were doing something responsive and relevant to the region, especially the Cordillera region. And so all across the programs, there were efforts, really assiduous efforts to improve the academic programs. You have, for example, the College of Social Sciences developing a double major program. Hindi pa college pala nun, the Social Sciences Division. We were divisions then, no? Because we are a college under UP Diliman. So the academic units were called divisions. So you have Social Sciences Division, which now became the college, the Humanities Division, which eventually became CAC, and Physical, Natural Sciences, and Mathematics Division, which eventually became the College of Arts and College of Science and Natural and Mathematics. Okay. So there were academic programs that were unique and interdisciplinary. But aside from that, one important milestone for me was the establishment in 1983 of the Cordillera Studies Center, which was actually part of a bigger program called Development Studies Program of the College of Social Sciences. Okay, the Development Studies Program had several components that were interrelated. One was the Master of Arts in Social Development, an interdisciplinary master's development program. And you have the Cordillera Studies Center serving as the research arm of the DSP, or the Development Studies Program. The idea was for graduates, students, MA students at the Social and Development Studies Program, MASDS, to work together with faculty researchers from different disciplines and divisions at UP Baguio to do interdisciplinary social science research among indigenous communities or communities in the Cordillera. Okay. And initial funding came from Ford Foundation. So we had funding from outside, and it was relatively big at that time. And so it brought together several faculty members from not only from the College of Social Sciences, but also from the humanities and the natural sciences. So there were big researches on biodiversity and natural resource management, on urban mobility or migration, mga ganyan. So the CSC became a hub really for faculty and students, graduate students from different disciplines of the college to work as teams. And it was very exciting moment because we all had the opportunity to work with our faculty, our mentors, and do field work in different communities in the Cordillera. So the exposure to Cordillera communities and culture was there at the very beginning, from the undergraduate to graduate levels. And we were known internationally. Our researchers, our faculty were cited and invited in conferences all over the world. We became part of a Southeast Asian network of researchers on upland or highland agriculture, the SUAN network, Southeast Asian Universities Network, if I'm not mistaken. So there were publications, monographs, although hindi pa pinag-usapan dyan yung mga peer-reviewed at ISI, but we were publishing monographs that were cited widely by scholars, not only in the country, but also abroad. So CSC was really a turning point, also a milestone in the development of UP Baguio as an institution, and really helped in establishing our niche as a campus and our relevance, not only in the region, but also within the UP system. Okay, so eventually, there was no more talk about abolishing us, especially when we were really continuously developing our academic programs. We were getting good faculty with degrees from here and abroad, and the really brilliant faculty who helped defend the existence and the persistence of UP Baguio. And so during this period from 2000 to 2001, there were several developments. Several programs, academic programs were developed, like the double major programs, the masteral program. There were increasing number of students, from 200 to 300 earlier to now 700, and there were eventually there was an urgent need to discuss autonomy or separation from UP Diliman, becoming a constituent university. And so from 2000 to 2001, there was a strategic planning workshop organized under the leadership of the then Dean Jessica Carino, who became my Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs eventually, and which became now the blueprint, that master development plan became the blueprint for transitioning from UP College Baguio to UP Baguio, the 7th constituent university of the UP system. Okay, but before we discuss the 2000 period to present, how do we, so we discussed the academic programs, the curricular programs. We had the Cordillera Studies Center. The CAC continued its Summer Arts Festival, therefore continuing the tradition of arts festivals and workshops, inviting artists from Manila, from Diliman, to come to Baguio during summers to conduct workshops among Baguio and Cordillera participants, and even Northern Luzon. No? So nagpapatuloy yun. Now, how about relationships? No? So we were 700 students. We are still relatively few faculty. It was relatively still a small campus. No, it was like just one department in a big college in UP Diliman, and therefore the relationships were still intimate, no, very intimate, and there were a lot of activities that brought together people from across disciplines, like the CSC as a research hub, bringing together faculty from different disciplines and college disciplines, right? And yeah, being small, there were parang everybody still knew everybody, no? Parang malaking pamilya pa rin, no? Ang UP Baguio sa panahon na ito. When we transitioned, no, as a UP Baguio, no, as a constituent university, it was really dramatic, remarkable, because there were several changes. No? There were several changes that that had to happen, were made to happen, because it was conditional, in fact, or it became part of our being a constituent university. For example, the major changes in the curriculum. No, it was a time when there were massive curricular changes when we were asked to review our academic programs. There was an external body created by UP System to review our academic programs and our organizational setup, etc., to determine how efficient we were as a campus. This committee was headed by Dr. Henry Ramos. Now, and his report is now called the Henry Ramos Report, no, which came up with the recommendations on how to strengthen further UP Baguio as a unit. And one of his recommendations, their recommendations, was to streamline, no, our academic programs, no, make them more efficient by looking at the actual faculty complement handling the programs. And they found out that we were offering too many programs with too little faculty or too few faculty teaching them, or too few students enrolling in them, and therefore they found these programs inefficient, and therefore they were abolished, or if not abolished, were reconfigured into new programs that are more focused, no? So maraming inabolish diyan, no, sa panahon na ito, no? Like yung theater arts program, no? Halimbawa sa CAC na lang, no? Inabolish yung BA Comparative Literature and BA Philippine Literature. At in lieu of that was the institution of the BA Language and Literature. Inabolish yung BA Mass Communication Journalism, BA Speech Communication, and BA Theater Arts and institution. And in lieu of this, the institution of BA Communication, generic, no? The abolition of the Certificate in Fine Arts with 2 majors and institution of Certificate in Visual Arts, no? So, ganon. And then also, UP Baguio, the College of Social Sciences, no? The double major program was abolished. We only had to offer a BA in Social Sciences with specialization in disciplines with strong faculty like economics, history, and social anthropology, no, at that time. So maraming nabago. Aside from that, this was also the period when there were massive infrastructure developments, no? Started by Chancellor Macan Santos, eventually continued by Chancellor Rovillos, no? Because of the constituent being an autonomous unit, you have more funding. You get more funding from UP System, unlike before when we would just get some funding from UP Diliman. So because of this, being a CU, we were given more funding for our programs and our infrastructure, which allowed us to develop the campus. So alam naman natin, no, what buildings were developed during the administration of Chancellor Macasantos, and eventually continued, and what buildings were built under the administration of Chancellor Rovillos. So yan, ano pa mga importanteng nangyari sa panahon na ito? Curriculum development, aggressive faculty development, no? Dito talaga faculty were sent to complete their masters and PhDs here and abroad, no? So for example, in 2001, no? In 2001, we only had 12% of the entire faculty of UP Baguio had PhDs. About 12% or less than 12%. But right now, when I ended my term, our PhD holders now constitute 48% of the entire permanent faculty of UP Baguio. So that's how impactful were the programs in support of faculty development was. Now, it increased our faculty with masters and PhD degrees. Masters degrees, more. I think we have more, like almost the same. Mga 40+% din ang ating masters degrees ngayon. So massive faculty development, no? Public services or public services at community extension nagpatuloy. There are college-based programs, yung CAC Summer Arts Festival, workshops, yung Social Science Research Institute, and yung CINISM ngayon, yung Science Institute for Summer Institute for Natural Sciences and Mathematics. Okay. And from 2011 to 2012, I think you know naman what we have accomplished. We have the Museo Cordillera. We have the Science Research Center. We have the new at the Teatro Amianan. We have the Gimnasio Amianan, which are new designs, modern designed buildings. And we developed three graduate programs: the MS Care, or MS in Conservation and Restoration Ecology at the CS. We have the PhD in Mathematics program at the CS, and the recently approved Indigenous Studies program, PhD in Indigenous Studies program at UP Baguio, which I think really cements and elevates our niche, no, as a center for indigenous studies, not only in the Philippines, but also in the ASEAN region and eventually the world. Okay. So I will end with maybe a question. So COVADIS UP Baguio, no? Where do we go from here? Maybe this is something that I would like us to collectively discuss. Although, of course, our new Chancellor, Chancellor Corazon Abansi, has envisioned, no, has articulated her vision in a post Macasantos and post Rovillos scenario, no, moving forward. Where will UP Baguio go under this new administration? She has written her vision paper called Sebang, an indigenous term for pathways, and I think I would like to invite everyone to read that document again. It's an interesting articulation of a vision for UP Baguio, but I'm really waiting for the administration now to operationalize that vision, because a vision is a vision, no? And you can write it in very general terms, but that has to be operationalized and concretized in terms of concrete programs, projects, and activities that are collectively discussed by the stakeholders of UP Baguio in a participatory strategic planning workshop or activities, no, that should be done so that there is ownership of that vision for UP Baguio. I will have some ideas later on in our discussion on where do we go from here. But I would like to end with that. And thank you very much. Let's continue the Talastasan.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Chancellor
Okay.
Raymundo Rovillos. Salamat for taking us, kumbaga, down memory lane.
Okay.
Na hindi pala, Chancellor, hindi lang pala 1961. Talagang kung uugatin natin, talagang meron pa as early as 1921, no?
Oo. Totoo
Opo.
yan.
So, yun nga
Natin
po,
pa tayo interesting.
Oo nga po no?
Actually, for example, actually, bago, before we eventually became located in our current campus, there were proposals to build the UP Baguio in the current PMA, no, the Philippine Military Academy, no. Meron naglalabi noon na dapat yan ay sa UP Baguio, pero hindi ko na alam kung ano nangyari, kung bakit hindi nangyari yon at PMA ang naitayo doon at hindi UP Baguio. Mga ganun.
Mga ganyang mga fun facts,
Trivia.
no? Opo. Which I'm not sure din, Chancellor, meron din ba rin daw dati sa Camp John Hay? I'm not sure po pero parang dati lang, parang meron lang ako mga narinig lang rin na gano'n.
Yun naman, yan namang usapin sa Camp John Hay nangyari when the US bases left, no? And there were discussions on what to do with it, di ba? What to do with that facility, and it was during that time when there were opinions, no, in public opinion through media, to why not build a UP Baguio or transfer UP Baguio in Camp John Hay? That would have been a good idea, isn't it?
Oo nga po, no? Oo nga po, very interesting, no? So now I invite our our audience and listeners, no, in this Q&A. So yes, Chancellor.
Yeah, maybe I would like to invite everyone to maybe try to answer my last question. Where do you want to see Baguio going maybe 5 to 10 years from now? Another decade, no ba? Kung anong, kumbaga, may characterization tayo sa mga periods kanina, di ba? Parang sinabi ko from nung 1961 to 1980 ba yun? Yung from GE Education, GE Center, from 1980s naging Knowledge Center for Cordillera Studies. Tapos itong constituent unit, we became the 7th constituent unit, no, of UP, where we really strengthened our academic programs. We became we have new undergraduate and graduate programs. Yeah.
Yes. Opo, no. So yeah, we're inviting our listeners to answer that question. Where are we heading? No? Saan tayo patungo, or parang ano ba tayo sa magiging UP Baguio in the next 60 years, in the next decade, no? So we're inviting questions, no? Sa atin ngayon sa discussion natin. Yeah. Ako kanina, Chancellor, siguro I have parang kumbaga mga clarifications lang po dun sa 1921 part. Like habang hinihintay lang po natin siguro yung mga listeners natin, no? Like dun po sa extension dun sa College of Liberal Arts in Vigan, does that mean po, is it under UP Diliman or other?
Yes, UP Diliman. College of Liberal Arts of UP Diliman.
Okay po. Yun nga po, no? Yun pala yun. Okay po. So yun, at least na-clarify ko po siya. No? Pero yung isa lang, Chancellor, kasi you're talking about relationships kanina, no? Parang a part of history, parang kumbaga isa sa mga takeaway na nakuha ko po from your discussion of the history is yung relationships that people have in UP Baguio. Pero ang isang interested po ako na tanungin is parang ano yung parang naging turning point ng lahat sa UPB na parang, magsarili na tayo. Maging constituent university na tayo. Parang ano po ba yung mga nangyayari itong mga panahon na yun na parang dumating tayo dun sa point ngayon, siguro, Chancellor, no, as a community or as a UP College Baguio na parang we're ready.
Naku, magandang tanong yan. Magandang tanong yan. Actually, there were administrative and academic reasons and basis. But administrative, for example, was the inefficiency of the setup. No, UP Baguio was far from Manila. It took at that time 7 hours to travel from Diliman to UP Baguio. Okay. And hindi pa efficient ang technology noon. Alam mo ba yan?
Opo.
Na noon, pag ikaw ay lecturer o kaya bagong hire, no? Ito mapapatunayan ito nila ma'am ni Commissioner Ping, no? At saka yung mapang medyo naabutan na panahon na to. It will take 3 to 4, even 5 months to get your appointment.
Wow! Parang patapos na po ang semester.
Oo, naranasan ko yan. Itipong baon na baon ka na sa utang bago mo makukuha yung sweldo mo lump sum. So, and that was normal during that time. Mabilis na siguro yung 3 months para maaprubahan o makuha mo yung formal appointment bilang lecturer o bilang faculty ng Baguio. 3 months minimum, minsan 5 months pa, even longer. Talagang napakahirap para sa mga faculty. So illustrative lang yan. That is illustrative of the bureaucratic inertia. No, we were suffering as a constituent unit under UP Diliman. Kaya feeling namin talaga noon, peripheral ang UP Baguio, nasa laylayan, sentro, aping-api, ganong parang hindi mo aping-api feeling, aping-api, parang we were suffering from the fact that we were far from the centers of decision making happening at UP Diliman, and also because of the fact of distance. And at that time there was no technology to bridge that distance, no? So kung sa appointment pa lang ng faculty may ganun na, ano pa nga yung iba, appointment ng empleyado, ng iba pa.
No?
So yung funding we were getting, of course we would compete with the budget of Diliman, and of course alam naman natin sa decision making din minsan the bigger colleges would get the lion's share, and the noisiest colleges and their leaders would get the lion's share. And sometimes if you're not asserted enough, you might just get the crumbs, no? Sa campus outside physically of UP Diliman. And so there was that predicament, that problem, no, being a constituent unit, a college then of UP Diliman. The other one is academic naman. Despite these limitations that I mentioned, it did not deter the faculty from doing excellent work in publications, research, and teaching and instruction. No, in teaching, for example, I know because naabutan ko yan that UP Baguio was known to have the highest teaching performance in the entire UP system.
Wow!
Because we were teaching. No, we're a small campus. It's so easy to know who is not teaching, who is not holding classes. Alam mo yan yung isa o dalawa at tatlo sa division nyo, at nakakahiya kasi parang ma-ostracize pa siya kasi alam na siya yung hindi nagtuturo. And so there was that peer pressure being a small campus to perform well because everybody seems to be knowing what everybody is doing. No, so in terms of performance, teaching tayong nakikita yan sa metrics ng teaching performance. And then publications, no, we were publishing, we were known, especially our senior faculty were really known and respected, not only in Diliman but also internationally, and our students were growing. In other words, dumating sa point na meron ng tinatawag na critical mass, no? May critical mass, ang sinasabi ng critical mass, there's enough number of human resources human capital to be able to sustain a constituent university with a unique niche, with a unique contribution in the entire UP system. And ano yung unique na yun? They have always mentioned it's the ethnicity program. It's doing Cordillera studies in this region, which is populated mostly by what we now know as indigenous communities or indigenous people. That was unique, no, to UP Baguio. And that's why nakita nila, yung nga naman, sino ang titingin sa mga katutubo natin, sino magfo-focus, kundi isang campus na UP Baguio. So, critical mass is important. Okay.
Opo, no? I think marami rin po sa mga students natin who are joining us right now can attest that I think one of the unique strengths ng UP Baguio is that yung ano natin per cultural sensitivity po.
Yes.
Yun po siguro yung isa rin sa parang gift that we have as a constituent university.
Yeah. So, and that is known, and that is felt by our counterparts in other campuses like UP Diliman. So when they interact with a UP graduate, they really know that yung sensitivity, cultural sensitivity, yung cultural awareness and consciousness is quite strong, no, among our UP Baguio graduates. No?
That's right po. Opo. And speaking of which, no, Chancellor, nabanggit nyo nga po kanina, I would also like to acknowledge our former dean and the former commissioner ng Commission sa Wikang Filipino who's joining us also. This afternoon, we have Professor Purificacion de Lima. Hi, Ma'am Ping. You're welcome po to join this discussion po. For sure, marami rin po kayong ma-share, no? Kagaya po nung shinare ni Chancellor Rovillos kanina. Also, Manang Ami Sendanya, who is also joining us in this talastasan. Kanina, Chancellor, nasabi nyo nga, no, administratively and academically. So parang I can just imagine na, especially siguro yung mga former deans natin like Professor Jessica Carino, and also, ang na-recall ko lang, Chancellor, kasi naging teacher ko po siya, no, si Dean Lazaro, Patricio Lazaro, no? Who was the then dean. So, yun nga po, no? Yun nga po yung mga highlights rin natin. So, questions po sa ating mga listeners natin and sa ating mga viewers. The floor is now open for the Q&A. And to answer Chancellor Rovillos' question kanina, where are we heading?
Kaya siguro kung masyado mabigat yung term na where are we heading, ano yung nakikita yung mahalagang maisagawang milestones, di ba? Na pwede pa natin gawin. Kasi halimbawa, sinabi natin kanina, milestone yung National Arts Festivals, no? Panahon ni Nadine Rola yan. Yung Cordillera Studies Center, 1983, milestone yan. Yung ating, of course, with yung ating pagiging CU, and hindi ako nagbubuhat ng sariling bangko, but I would like to believe yung Museo Cordillera, the establishment of Museo Cordillera, is a milestone. And now, the recent institution and offering of our Indigenous Studies program, I think, is another milestone. What do you want to see in place as another milestone for UP Baguio in the coming years? That's my question to you guys. Para ma-input natin ito kay Chancellor Abansi, baka ma-consider niya, no, sa kanyang administration.
Yes, opo.
Administration.
Opo, tama po yan. No? You're talking about milestones here. No? So, yeah po. Questions po? Ayan, si Professor Kagikla po would like to ask a question or is raising her hand. Yes, you may speak.
Hi, Aisa.
Hello po. Parang ayoko magpakita ng video.
Bakit naman? Ganda-ganda yung ano.
No.
Yung
akin po is not question, pero parang ang nakikita ko sigurong na plano namin, kaya lang hindi naman namin magawa kasi nga po, hindi naman face-to-face. Parang nakikita ko yung potential ng museo dun sa parang pwedeng gawan ng mga educational materials yung yung mga ina-exhibit ng museo. Parang iniisip ko po parang may iPad kasi dito sa Cordillera. So pwedeng gawa ng modules yung mga ini-exhibit ng museo. Parang open na repository ng mga ano. Parang iniisip ko po parang mas dadalhin siya dun sa level ng mga bata. Parang yung mga naiisip namin gawin.
Parang popularization, no? Make it more popular.
Opo. At saka talaga pong modules para malaman ng mga bata na itong artifact na ito, yung value niya. Na pwede namin po sanang gawin dun sa literacy class namin. Eventually. Parang feeling ko po parang mas ilalapit niya dun sa mga bata. Kasi ang dami na po eh.
Maganda mong kahiyan, Aisa. Para nga talagang kumbaga yung cultural education importante ito na hindi lang nalilimit sa ilang bumibisita sa museo, kundi yung mga nakakapasok sa university, pero ang gusto mo talagang ilabas ito sa mas malawak na bilang ng ating mga mamamayan, lalo na mga estudyante, mga pupils.
Yun pong mga bata.
Yeah, that's a good proposal. At dapat siguro manguna yan ang COM, no? Yung mga COM natin. Mga kasamahan natin sa COM, pwedeng tumulong. Lalo na yung mga DevCom dyan.
Ayan.
Actually, pwede po siyang class project.
Mabalik sa inyo yan.
Opo. Salamat, Ma'am Aisa. May mga tanong rin dito, Chancellor, kay dating Dean de Lima, no, na anong tawag dito, na may kinalaman rin sa tanong rin po ni Ma'am Erica, no? Sabi niya, anong tawag dito? Pagbati kay Sir RR sa malinaw na kasaysayan ng UPB, bago naging UPB, may pagsisikap na palakihin ang campus ng UPB. May pag-aalangan kasi na masyado nang mabigat ang CU sa maliit na bundok na lokasyon nito. Nagkaroon ba ng ganitong pagsisikap sa iyong termino? And at the same time, I think ito po may connection rin sa tanong ni Ma'am Erica Jacinto na are there any other UP property or location na pwede daw pa po nating magamit for expansion?
Oo. Tama. Salamat sa tanong, Commissioner Ping. Tama yan. Talagang malaking limitasyon na ngayon yung ating napakaliit na spasyo. No? We only have 4 hectares in the current campus at UP Baguio, and definitely there are constraints to our further growth. That's why actually during our administration we've been looking for alternative campuses, no? And in fact, this is also the priority now of President Concepcion. So he's been looking for an alternative, for a new campus for UP Baguio. Recently, we went to Sabanga, to Sablan, Tuba, pero yung Tubang pinipinpoint ng DENR ay yung pala yung controversial na Tuba property noon. Alam mo yan, Commissioner Ping. So hindi na natin babalikan yung lugar na yon. At saka nung pinuntahan namin, masyadong steep at saka watershed siya. It's a watershed. It would be unconscionable for UP Baguio to be cutting the trees just to put a campus there. So now, recently, may bagong na-identify ang DENR through Secretary Simatu somewhere in Itogon po, Commissioner. So, baka sa bagong administration ngayon si Chancellor Cora they will have another site visit in this identified property, government property in Itogon, Benguet. Nung panahon ko, actually may nag-offer ng possibility ng UP pero hindi kasi Cordillera UP in Binalonan, Pangasinan. Ito ay mismong inilapit sa akin ng ngayon ay Congressman Ramon Guico the third, no, si Sir Monmon. Ang vision niya ay parang magkaroon ng smart campus, no, sa sa Binalonan bilang bahagi ng kanyang export processing, parang kanyang development plan, no, dito sa Pangasinan. Pero unfortunately, nung ito ay nirelay ko sa UP system officials at ang Board of Regents, hindi sila supportive doon sa proposal ni Congressman Monmon Guico, dahil sabi nila, una, magkakaroon na ng UP sa Clark at UP Tarlac. Masyadong malapit yung Pangasinan para magkaroon pa ng another UP sa Pangasinan. Another reason is there is a Pangasinan State University already. Why don't we just strengthen PSU instead of having another state university in this province? So yun po yung naging initiatives, no? But hopefully this new proposal from DNR, I don't know where ito gone. I think I hope that will work. But yes, I agree, we need a new physical space. Yun namang 4-hectare property natin sa Sabkil, we're in our master development plan, we've identified it as a potential research and creativity center, no? So we've started building a cottage there. There are problems with water availability and that, but I think those can be addressed. But we can still continue building smaller, structures that will not necessitate cutting off trees, and really build that 4-hectare property as a research and creativity for faculty who want to escape the hustle bustle of the city and live inside the forest and just think and create and write, no?
Opo. Yan yung mga magandang po natin, the one in Sabkil, no? And interesting din na makita natin yung potential rin po of having a UP campus in Itogon, no? Nang mas magkaroon pa po tayo ng wider reach sa ilan ng mga estudyante natin in that northern part in that area natin, no? So yun po. Dean De Lima, I hope that nasagot po ba yung inyong katanungan? And meron pong nagre-raise rin ng hand dito si Professor Pitdongay. Yes, Ma'am Rachel. Naka-mute ka pa yata. Ay. Ma'am Rachel? Hindi pa yata. Hello. Hindi ka pa yata marinig? Or naririnig niyo po ba, Chancey?
No.
Okay, hello.
Ayan, alright.
Yeah, okay lang.
Hi, Sir RR. Parang ang hirap, it flows on your tongue mag-Chancey RR.
You'll get used to RR now.
Sir R. Anyway, siguro yung sa lang, may 2 cents in. Yun nga, actually yun din yung tanong ko. Parang UP Baguio in 10 years, I think UP Baguio needs to expand. So yun, very interesting what's going to happen. Siguro yung tanong lang, syempre yung commute, kung anong mangyayari. Siguro meron na tayong sariling bus.
Yeah. Kasama yan.
Mga lines. And then
housing doon sa off-campus na housing.
Yes.
For the faculty who will teach in that new campus.
Parang Miagao, UP Visayas, ganyan.
Yeah.
So, yun, that would be interesting. I think for me, kasi na-mention ni Doris yung Digital Humanities Center for CAC. So, very interesting then, of course, how CAC would contribute to UP Baguio 10 years, 60 years from now. I would agree, center like for digital humanities, a center for fine arts or for the arts. We would also love to contribute to that, yung mga ganun po. Especially now, di ba, with UP Baguio as creative city, and so on.
Yeah.
So, yun po.
I think
it's so nice to see you, Sir Ara.
You've started this direction with your Media Studies Center. You have this media lab. Of course, it's you can improve on that, but the idea of a multimedia lab is really commendable, and it's already there. It started during the administration of sino ba nagsimula niyan? I think it was Dean Kalinawagan or si Dean Candy. One of the previous deans started that. But I think we can expand that, no? That idea. Remember nung nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic, CSC held podcasts, no? Si under Dr. Ruth Tindaan, and she used the facilities of CAC, the radio broadcasting thing you have there, the laboratory, which was very useful in the podcasts, no, organized by CSC. So in other words, you have that potential, no, to really become a center for digital whatever. Center, di ba?
Thanks,
Right.
Sir.
Thank you.
Opo. Alright. Sige po, more questions. Tingin po tayo sa ating anyone who wants to share din po yung kanilang mga viewpoints natin, no? Yan, habang hinihintay po natin siya, Sir RR. Dito sa Baguio po, meron po bang naging usapin din ba nun po? Like, na pwede rin natin pang tignan or i-explore po na extension natin?
Sorry, extension campus. Kasi
na para somewhere here in Baguio City specifically.
May tanong din si Commissioner Ping na ano nangyari dun sa Beckel property. Wala akong maalalang Beckel property, Commissioner Ping, kundi yung ating Subkill. Subkill property ito sa Itogon. Ito yung mini-mention ko kanina na 4 hectares. It's a 4-hectare property, and actually we have a structure there already. I'm holding the master development plan now. You have this structure built on that property already. Sa
Subkill po, no?
So we envision several cottages like this, no, in that property. Actually, napaka-modern ng facility, no? If you go there, there's a hot and cold shower. It's small, but para ka naka-condominium, no? In the middle of the forest. I don't know if you've been there yan. And
hindi pa po yan. Hindi pa
other
po.
colleagues in the CAC. But, you know, I think we should maximize this property. Ang feeling ko, hindi nagagamit masyado. Dahil akala ng marami ay pag-aari lang ito ng science, no? Hindi. This facility is open to all disciplines and colleges of UP Baguio. You can stay in the cottage, you can do workshops there, you can stay overnight because there's water, there's electricity, you can cook, etc. And then you can have classes under the trees again, like what we used to do before. So, yan po yun, Ma'am Ping, hindi yun Beckel property, it's a Subkill property in Itogon, Benguet. Okay. So,
maganda.
pero po, ang ay plano, mayroon na kaming kami ni Ma'am Jessica, mayroon na kaming na-develop na master plan dito. Paano pa i-develop yung property na yan?
All right po.
Okay.
Magbasa lang rin po ako mula sa chat box natin, no, Sir RR.
Okay.
Yung kay Doris nga kanina, sabi nga niya, agree po sa mga kwento ni Sir RR na abutan ko yung first name basis ang tawag sa prof at ang mga bonding ng klase na iilan lang na students, marami na ang 5 sa klase.
Sa totoo lang. Oo. Para kaming graduate class o undergraduate namin, mga 5 lang kami, 4, gano'n.
Oo nga po, no, noon. Talagang small community po, no?
Yeah.
And then, pangarap sa hinaharap na magkaroon ng performance-related course sa Digital Humanities Center. And then, I think nasagot na po ni Nyup na po, no, yung tanong kanina ni Dean De Lima, no, dun sa Beckel property. Tapos magandang info yan, pero kasabay sana ng paglaki ng campus ay ang paglaki ng ACAD programs at personnel. Ayan. Yun po yung nasabi ni Ma'am Ping. And then si Ma'am Ami, Sir Chansey, how about yung nasa Irisan? Parang may nakita ko na UP Baguio property signage, kung di ako nagkakamali, or correct me if I am wrong.
Hindi UP Baguio yun. I think may mga properties kasi ang ibang UP units sa Baguio eh. So may property ang UP Manila, mayroong UPLB diyan sa may Mines View. Ganyan. So,
Opo.
hindi atin yung sa Irisan na yon. Hindi UP yon. Hindi UP Baguio yun.
Ayun po, Manang Ami, hopefully nasagot po yung clarification rin ninyo, no? Doon po sa tanong ninyo. Tapos, siguro po dito rin po sa sagot ni, sa tanong rin po ni Ma'am Ping na paglaki ng ACAD programs at personnel, I think, ang isa rin po dyan siguro yun nga pong ano natin ngayon, no? Tawag po dito, yung PhD in Indigenous Studies.
Yeah.
No? Na parang isa pong...
I think napakalaking niya, totoo yan. I would like to believe that this is one milestone that we recently created, and I think it will have an impact in the years to come. Sa ngayon pa lang, ang dami nang gustong mag-apply, hindi lamang dito sa Cordillera, kundi sa buong Pilipinas. In fact, alam nyo bang mas maraming interesadong pumapasok ng mga inquiries sa inbox ng ISP Facebook na from Mindanao. No?
Wow.
So ito na yung ating pagkakataon bilang talaga maging relevant hindi lang sa Cordillera region pero sa buong Pilipinas. Dahil I'm sure naniniwala sa akin si Commissioner Ping na bilang commissioner ay naglakbay na sa iba't ibang lalawigan ng Pilipinas na actually napaka-privilege ng Cordillera region dahil maraming intellectuals na dito, marami ng professionals. Sa Mindanao, sa Lumad, napakanipis ng kanilang human capital. At so talagang kailangan nating tulungan yung ating mga kababayang katutubo sa loob at labas ng Cordillera, lalong-lalo na sa Mindanao at sa iba pang lugar, hindi lamang Mindanao, na kung saan nangangailangan talaga ng tulong na maparami ang kanilang intelihensya, no, yung kanilang yung intellectuals nila, no, maparami para sila rin maging catalyst sa panlipunang pagbabago sa kanilang mga community. So talagang excited ako sa Indigenous Studies program na ito at hindi lang ito sa Philippines, by the way. Ang dami na re-inquiries from countries like Myanmar, no, which is really suffering from ethnic discrimination, from Thailand, from Bangladesh. They all they are all interested to enroll in our Indigenous Studies program. And this will really require the way we offer it. It's not going to be a regular face-to-face thing. I think it will have to be offered virtually, if not through blended learning modality. Itong Indigenous Studies programs and any other program, academic program that we intend to be global or globalized or international will have to go online or virtual as well.
Wow, nga po, no? Yeah. May potential rin po niya for exchange students, no?
Yes.
Dahil po sa yun nga po, sa pagkakaroon natin ng ganitong programa.
Yeah.
Po, mga katanungan pa po para kay Sir RR. Yan, tignan po natin. Ako'y gumagamit ng mobile din. So, ayan, meron pong mga katanungan pa or parang mga points of manifestation natin dito sa ating talakayan o ating talastasan sa hapon na to. Ako, Chansey, no, habang hinihintay ko rin yung ibang mga tanong siguro. Yung doon sa 1980s na sinasabi po ninyo, no, yung doon sa tangkang abolishment, no, ng
UP Baguio.
Sa UP Baguio no, talagang mabuti na lang po at hindi. Yun po siguro yun. No? Talagang napatunayan rin po ng ating mga faculty, no? At ng mga lahat ng miyembro ng community natin.
Yeah. Of course, inilaban niya ng ating mga guro, na ating mga estudyante at most of all na ating mga alumni para i-convince ang UP system officials na mayroong halaga ang UP Baguio dito sa region na ito.
Opo, no?
And I don't think we will see that will happen. I mean, I think the idea of considering UP Baguio as not important is no longer there, no? It will never happen again. No?
At opo, hindi na po yun
Ay
talaga.
dahil sa ating pagsisikap na lahat at yun, congratulations sa ating lahat.
Nako, that's right po. And also, Chance, yung highlight din kanina na kumbaga kung ilalapat natin siya sa Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon, yung sinabi ninyong nagiging venue siya for National Arts Festival.
Yeah, oo.
Ang ganda pong sariwain at saka balikan yun na tama po ba yung parang a certain edifice, kundi po ako nagkakamali, yung malapit sa may Teatro Amyanan or the Teatro Amyanan rather was inspired by that parang shape ng ng stage. Tama po ba?
Exactly, yeah.
No?
That used to be the site of the National Arts Festival, and unfortunately, as you know, gumuho yan nung ito ay tinayo natin yung teatro. Medyo naging emotional ang ilang kasamahan natin dyan, pero talagang yun pala yun, wala talagang foundation yon. Yung structure na yon, ni walang poste, ni walang beam, it's just hollow blocks. Kaya madaling bumigay. But the design of the Teatro Amyanan was inspired by that structure. I don't know if you've seen this. Ito yun,
Ayan, opo, no?
Ito yon, yung parang amphitheater type na open space. Yan nagpa-perform, sila Cecil Guidote, at iba pang mga national, mga artists at the national level.
Saan po yung part na yan, Sir RR? Sa may, ano pong specifically area po yan ng campus natin?
Yung na landscape area sa harap ng Teatro Amyanan. Yung mini teatro, kumbaga meron din parang mini, yung may steps doon, may landscape.
Oh, okay. So parang bago po mag-cross ng walk-up.
No. Yung mismong tapat ng yung tapat ng Teatro Amyanan na katabi rin ng nasa likod ng library natin.
Okay po. Yung opo, naalala ko. Yung bago po maghagdanan.
Yung may maliliit na steps na gano'n at mayroong Bermuda grass, yun.
Yun po. Kaya yun po yung naging inspiration for the Teatro Amyanan design.
Right.
Wow, opo,
yeah.
no? So, yun po. Ayun, hello po, Chancey. Meron pong katanungan, Chancellor, Sir RR. I would just like to express from Micaela Sabaliege. Hello po, Chancey. I would just like to express my gratitude for this webinar kasi marami po akong natututunan. I am from Camarines Sur, but somehow ay napili ko ang UP Baguio para i-pursue ang aking studies. As a freshie, mas na-excite ako lalo dahil po sa iyong mga kwento tungkol sa campus. Ano po yung inyong maipapayo sa aming mga freshies na hindi pa makatapak sa UP sa campus? Any suggestions kung ano dapat ang una namin gawin o dapat malaman kapag nagkaroon ng face-to-face classes? So, Chancey, from history to freshman orientation. Tayo ngayon.
Magandang tanong yan. Tawag dito. Sana masimulan. Naalala ko nung nag-freshman orientation tayo nung panahon ng pandemic. Ito yung huling year ko as chancellor. Parang nagkaroon tayo doon ng parang yung idea ng touring the campus, parang ano tawag doon sa term ninyo sa
alin po?
Yung may nagsasalita habang nagtutour.
Vlog.
Vlogging. So I think in the absence of the physical experience, I think we should do more of vlogging our campuses, our classrooms to introduce our campus to our students. No?
Opo, no? And I think may mga gumagawa rin po niya, like I think the University Student Council and other organizations rin po are doing that to promote UP Baguio rin po. Even our mga alumni rin po natin, no? Kaya nga po.
Yeah. Okay. So that's my advice to you, our freshman student. Siguro habang hinihintay natin yung mga bagong vlogs, marami naman na ngayong mga initiatives ang mga faculty, ang mga students and alumni to do their own vlogs about UP Baguio.
Opo, no? Okay. Alright. Sige po. Ito po, sabi lang po ni Ma'am Doris, may amphitheater po doon noon. I think Ma'am Doris is referring nga dun sa yung place po na malapit sa teatro. Tapos sabi po ni Ma'am Ping, this is so true, Sir RR. Kaya, referring to the Indigenous Studies Program, kaya pinopromote ko na yung ISP kasi maraming matutulungan yan. Congrats.
Salamat, Ma'am Ping. At sana ikaw ay makapagturo pa rin bilang lecturer sa ating ISP.
Yan, ako may may pa-imbitasyon na mula po kay Sir RR rin, no? So yun nga po, natukoy rin po kanina ni Professor Tindan nga po, yung term nga is vlog, no? So, opo. So yun po, may mga katanungan pa po ba? Ayun. Kung wala naman po siguro, ako po, Chancey, ibibigay ko lang yung takeaway ko namin, no? Bilang ngayon sa Talastasan, gusto ko siyang gawan ng acronym na CAC, no? So, doon sa C, nakita po natin doon sa inyong diskusyon na talakayan, yung talagang promotion ng C for culture and arts, no? Noong mga panahon na yun, it became a culture and arts hub or venue, no? During, I think, the 1960s, no? And A for, I think, yun po talagang sigurong role dito ng alumni natin. The likes of the Benjamin Salvosa, Fernando Bautista, and Margarita Fernandez, and Dr. Abeliera, which si Dr. Abeliera, tama po ba na ipinapangalan rin natin sa kanya yung award for, like, tama po, no? Sa mga, I think, sa mga top of the class per college natin, no? So, yung role po ng mga alumni natin sa pagkakatatag at pananatili, 'di ba, ng UP Baguio, and I think C is yung strength natin for Cordillera culture, yung sensitivity natin sa culture, and yung sense of community po natin as UP Baguio, no? So, sa relationships, talagang CAC po para maiugnay po natin sa inyong Talastasan. Ayun po. So, opo, bago po tayo magtapos, Chancellor, nais lang po namin ibahagi itong certificate na ito. Kuya Marvin, makikisuyo po ako na paki-flash po siya. Ayan. So, ito po ay mula po sa Universidad ng Pilipinas, Baguio, Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon. Ang sertipiko ng aming pasasalamat ay ginagawad po namin sa inyo, Professor Raymundo D. Rovillos, para sa kanyang taus-pusong pagbabahagi ng kanyang kaalaman sa okasyon ng CAC Talastasan 2021 webinar na may temang pagtunton sa ating pinagmulan, paghubog sa ating landas. Ipinagkaloob ngayong ika-18 ng Mayo 2021 sa Universidad ng Pilipinas, lungsod ng Baguio, nilagdaan ng tagapangulo ng Talastasan 2020-2021, Erica Diwata M. Jacinto, at ang aming dekano ng Kolehiyo ng Sining at Komunikasyon, Dr. Jimmy B. Fong. Ayun po.
Wow, thank you very much. Maraming salamat sa certificate.
Maraming salamat rin po, Chancellor, sa inyong inilaan na oras para po balikan itong na to, no? Sariwain natin itong ating kasaysayan ng UP Baguio. Opo, sa ating pong mga viewers.
Napakahusay mo talaga yan.
Maraming salamat po. At para po sa ating mga listeners natin at viewers po natin, huwag po natin kakaligtaan na sagutin yung evaluation. Kayo rin po, gaya ni Chancellor Rovillos, ay makakatanggap ng sertipiko ng pagdalo para po sa okasyon na to. Ayun po, Chancellor, kung makikita niyo po yung mga chat, nandyan po yung mga pasasalamat rin po ng mga dumalo sa Talastasan na ito. So, muli, maraming salamat, Chancellor Rovillos, at sa ating mga manonood. Ito pa lang po ay una sa maraming mga serye ng Talastasan na inyong aabangan sa linggong ito at sa mga susunod na linggo pa. Muli, ako po si Christian Fajardo at maraming salamat po sa ating lahat.
Salamat.
God bless po. Thank you, Chancey.
Thank you.